time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by
PSE Archery, Yamaha Outboards, Better the Hunt, Easy Cut, Packer Max, Deer Camp Coffee, Buck Baits, JPO Game Calls, Limwalker Game Calls, Wild Seasoning, Total Peep, Sunrise Archery, Scent Lock, and Scent Blocker.
Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal, everybody. Host Mike Adams sitting in a very warm and muggy cabin tonight here in mid-Michigan, along with my partner in crime here, Mr. Dan DeFall. What is going on?
It's Wednesday. We talked about this when I got over here, about how hot and muggy it is. Mm-hmm. Like I said, we're about ready for that change. It's time for a new season.
You know, that happened about 2-3 weeks ago. I was up north. We were camping. Nancy and I were. Woke up one morning. It was about 52 degrees. All of a sudden, my right trigger finger started twitching.
There you go.
I'm like, yes.
You know what? And speaking of that, it's time.
It is time.
Next week is September 1st,
and my dog's barking.
And your dog's barking. Bucky in the backyard hasn't lost his velvet, but he's changing his coat.
He is changing?
Yeah, he's changing.
He's getting his winter coat out, or getting his winter coat ready?
He's warming up his winter coat. He's probably sent the rest of it out to the cleaners, and it's coming back slowly.
Gotcha, okay.
So it's one of those things that we're 40-something days?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
So
30... And today's 25th, 36 days.
There you go. So. And we'll be hunting here in Michigan on October 1st. Obviously, there's some earlier seasons that's going to go off in September. Next Wednesday, September 1st, is early goose season.
It is. Yes, it is.
And hopefully, the next couple weeks, we're going to have JPO game calls on.
Okay.
I talked with him today. So we'll have him on to talk about his Omni stuff.
There you go. Before we get going tonight, I do want to give a quick shout out. Today, I gotta give a shout out to my girl Nancy Jackson. Today is our 1 year anniversary.
There you go, happy anniversary!
So it's a good day.
It is. It is a good.
Except for we scheduled a show on our anniversary, so it
happens.
So I'm going to see her tomorrow.
There you go. Thursday.
Poor planning on my part. So. But, well, listen, let's get some of our stuff out of the way here.
How about we start off in the UP of Michigan?
Oh, you want to do that first?
Yeah, let's go right to that. I've got the live shot up. It's 77 degrees up in Newberry. FM 123 is carrying our show. Check out Cedars up there that carries Deer Camp Coffee. You know what? I hope to be up at the cabin next weekend up in the UP, and I will be looking to see if colors are starting to change.
You know what? I think they are actually in a couple places. I don't know if it's due to the dryness and the weather we've had lately, or if it's actually getting to be that time of year. So I'm starting to see. We were seeing some on the rivers a couple weeks ago, starting to change. Some maple trees are actually starting to turn. So.
Exactly. So all right. So let's get to some of our supporters. Starting off with Buck Baits. Nothing better than going over to Buck Baits, who is going to be at the Woods and Water Show in a couple of weeks. I'll find out what booth we are. We'll probably do a live shot. We'll be there. We'll be helping them. Henry's will be there, as well as JPO.
Is Henry's bringing some meat treats?
They are.
Okay.
So, if you want to get 20% off your order at buckbaits.com, use the promo code UNJ20 and start thinking about your cents. Start making sense.
Because that makes sense.
Right. Hey, fall food plots.
You got it right this week.
I did. $25 off your order with Lincoln Roan over at packermax.com, UNJ25. Like I said, JPO game calls will be at the Woods and Water, just a couple down from Buck Baits and Henry's. And if you go to jpogamecalls.com, you can get 10% off your order using the promo code UNJ10. And it's still barbecue season, folks.
It's always barbecue season.
It is. There's 365 days a year you can barbecue. UNJ 2021 gets you 10% off your order at wildseasoning.com. And for some people that think they are not a coffee snob, but like cold brew, we're drinking it right now. Deer Camp Coffee Roasting Company and Outfitters gets you 10% off your order, UNJ10 at deercampcoffee.com.
Listen to that ice in there.
I know, right?
Good stuff. But wait, you know what? What we didn't tell them, what we told them last week. We actually have our own label.
We do have our own label, and if you go check out the screen people on the podcast, this is why you got to come and look at Facebook, because you can't see what we're talking about. But we do have our own logo. Our Up North Journal coffee blend, we have light, medium, and dark roast. You can see it right there on the screen. Deer Camp Coffee, our Up North Journal blend.
And this is fresh cold brew, made just for Danny.
Yes, it is, and you're right, Tammy. It's birthday season for Danny and I. For
good
Tammy
Lord.
and I,
the month of Dan. All right,
and Tammy.
Let's get into the show.
You're right. We can't talk about it till next Wednesday.
That's right.
All right. Let's talk. We had him on earlier in the season. Let's get right to him. He is now a winner in the head-to-head fishing a couple of tournaments back. There's a tournament currently going on in Nebraska. His brother Robert pulled off a miraculous 1-ounce win today to continue on in the winner's bracket. But Robert is in Nebraska. Josh is in Wisconsin, who just became a new dad. Congratulations.
Hey, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. That was I guess one of the benefits of, well, I wish I was out there, but having a newborn, I'm not at work, so I was able to watch the action today, and that was quite the nail biter with my brother, for sure. A 1-ounce victory, but hey, a victory is a victory, right? Moving on.
That's right.
It is a victory, and speaking of victories, man, I hate to say it, so far, watching all these tournaments that we've seen, the one that you won at Mille Lacs was, I'm not going to lie, dude, it was one of the interesting hours of watching fishing. I'm not gonna lie, and it was one of those things that it was almost riveting to sit there and watch it as I was working.
Had to be for you too.
It was a very special hour, to say the least. I guess I'll kind of do a quick recap for those that don't know. The head-to-head, the PWS format we do, anything over 2 pounds goes onto your weight. That like I always say, goes onto your card, because we do have an official paper that everything's recorded on. I think with about an hour 15, hour 10 left, I was down roughly 21 pounds to great friend, phenomenal angler, Joe Okada, who had just been dominating up there. Fortunately for me, I did not meet him till the championship round. But yeah, with an hour and 10 minutes left, I was down 21 pounds, and I went to a spot on Mille Lacs that I had fished every day leading up to there. I went there at about the same time, right around that 11:30 noonish hour. Basically, gave myself an hour, and it was a hump. I went there every day, almost to end the day, and I actually ended up naming the thing, for those that watched it, I was calling it the Slump Buster, because for some reason, and I didn't figure this out, but I would go on a 45-minute to an hour and 15-minute lull towards the 3/4 mark, once we're 3/4 in of our day, and I wouldn't catch a scoreable fish. And every time I hit that, all of a sudden I finally reel in and say, let's go. It was about a 15-minute boat ride from where my primary stuff was at. And kind of when I committed to go there, it meant I was there. So that's why I saved it to the end. And I wheeled in there on that championship day, my first cast I made, and I popped one. And we registered that fish. I turned to the camera and I said, here I come, Joe. And I've always been saying, I said, I guarantee you, I was the only person at that moment, even after catching that fish, that truly thought I had a chance to win that thing. And they came pretty quick, to say the least, if you didn't watch.
They were coming fast and furious. I was at work trying to cheat a look in, and I was watching. And actually, right now, we've got the last couple minutes, or last 20 minutes of you guys going head-to-head here up on the screen right now. And hey, got you reeling in one. But I tell you what, I was cheating looks in, and I was watching, and I said, he's going to win this thing. I said, he's going to come back and get him, And I be dang, man, you put it on a show. I have no fingernails left after that. I was just chewing them off, man, watching. It was the most riveting television fishing that I've ever seen in my entire life. It was incredible.
And we're not lying here, because I got yelled at by him because I was trying to text him what's going on, and then he started yelling at me that I was interrupting his live feed of watching you. And I said, all right, fine. But I tell you what, man, it is, for you guys out there, it has to be, because we're at, on the video we're showing, you've got 17 minutes to go, and you're down 2 pounds, and you're just brought in a fish. I mean, just to stay and do the fishing you needed to do and not get, I guess, excited and do it wrong, I guess, that's got to be nerve-wracking.
I mean, honestly, the nerves never got to me. And my goal, once I made the grade 8, so after day 1, I'll admit, so like I'm Lake Mille Lacs, that was the 3rd time I've ever been there. I have done well there every time. The first 2 times, I believe my first time ever there, I took a 9th. My second time, I took a 2nd by a half a pound. It's just one of them bodies of water. And it happened, all of us anglers have that body of water that when you see it, you look at it, break it down, it just clicks. It clicks for you. That's Mille Lacs to me. For some reason, I don't need to spend a lot of time out there. I just understand it. And my first 2 days, if you guys have been following PWS, I had Isaac Lakich, Max Wilson my first 2 days. Them are some of the better and hottest anglers out there right now. I mean, like I said, still to this day, I still think, I went through the absolute juggernaut. Isaac won Angler of the Year. He just wrapped that up at Lake McConaughey. It's already done and over. He's got it. Guess who finished 2nd in Angler of the Year? Joe Okada. Max Wilson is still fishing right now. Won his match today, and he is right up there. He's in the top 10 for Angler of the Year. So, these are some of the best anglers there are out there, and I did go through them. And those first 2 matchups, I really didn't have nerves. I was very confident in what I was doing, and I kept saying in the morning, and I believe it was against, I think it was against Max. I caught a fish on my first cast. As soon as they said lines in, we hit that 8 o'clock mark. I caught a fish right away. And every morning in my interview, I said an important thing for me because of this format, and I think I can because I was very confident. I was spot locked. And how our format works. We go out, you sit there until 8 o'clock. So I was on a piece of structure. I was on an area, and I was confident there's fish there. And I said, I need to get on a quick start. And because that's when the mental game starts with all, your competitor. If I can catch 2 quick ones and they're down 8 pounds like that, now all of a sudden that's in the back of their head. It's just another advantage for me. So that was my goal. And it's not everyone's goal, but up there, I really felt I could do that. I didn't target necessarily my best fish in the morning. I targeted my quantity fish, just hoping they'd go 2 pounds. All I wanted was weight on the scoreboard. And that worked for me. But against Joe, I believe he had a 60-pound something day. He had a 76-pound something day. He was absolutely killing it. In the morning, we had a pretty good exchange too. Again, like I said, he's a good buddy of mine, and we kind of gave a little hug, basically like a good luck to each other. And I told him, I said, go put on a show. And I meant that because what he was doing, I didn't want him, if he absolutely throttled me, basically what I was saying, go throttle me. Go put up 100 pounds. If your bite's that good, go do it. Don't pull off at the end or anything. I said, go put on a show. And once we got out there, again, in my morning interview on that championship day, the wind was blowing, and it was the first time it blew the whole time we were there. And I said, I know. You're right. That was that up until then, because I think the day before that, it looked like, because it was hot, right? And Joe, at one point, he had to literally stop fishing, take a break, get his handkerchief out, and put water over his head. I thought actually he was going to pass out. Correct. Yeah, I believe our heat indexes were like 106, 107 for most of the days. Definitely upper 90s the whole week. So, yes, very, very hot. And one of the things that when that happens, I know you guys are always looking at the weather to see what kind of bite what's gonna happen, and were the spot that you had, did you think it was gonna be good no matter what the weather was gonna be? Yeah, I really did. The type of stuff I was fishing was, I was basically fishing, well, not basically, I was fishing rock humps. The big thing for my bite was where they set up on the rock hump. That was my, what I had to dial in. So, and by rock humps, it wasn't shallow. I was, they would top out at 30 feet, 25. Some topped out at 19. That was probably the shallowest I ever was. I knew from just chatting with Joe that he was fishing a shallow water bite. So, like I said in my morning interview, I said, this wind, if anything's going to help me. I mean, when you're fishing offshore structure, wind is always good. Wind does not hurt you. And I've already caught these fish on flat, calm conditions, so I wasn't worried at all. I said, hey, this might be a great thing for me because I don't know what this wind will do to Joe's bite. And apparently it was enough to kind of tame it and keep them right around. I was pretty much guaranteed 39 to 48 pounds a day. I think that's all my weights are right in there. So I had a very, very consistent bite. I was going to go out and do this. If you can beat 40 pounds, you got a chance to beat me. If not, I'm going to beat you. And that was kind of the type of bite I was on. So yeah, it tamed Joe's bite just enough. And I believe it was 15 ounces. I squeaked them out by at the end.
Less than a pound.
Yeah, it was
incredible.
It was definitely you definitely called it right. It was definitely squeaking by there at the end. But that last hour, if people want to go back to the Facebook head-to-head page. Go find that the day long. Go about to the 5-hour mark and just watch it from that part on, because it is just. It's funny you say that, but we're coming up on our first break. When we come back, we'll continue talking about this, because the next tournament is an interesting one that I just want to point out something. So,
all right, we're going to step outside. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has reinvented the way you buy bows.
From now on, you can make the most educated decision possible
by basing your bow choice specifically on your shooting needs and goals.
All you need to do is ask yourself, what kind of shooter am I? What do I want to achieve?
PSE will help find the right category for you.
So, what kind of shooter are you?
Find out at psearchery.com.
Welcome back. Second segment of the show. We got some questions here in the queue, but I want to throw something at him here. Go ahead.
I just wanted to point out, you went from Mille Lacs, and the next tournament was in Mississippi Pool 2, right?
Correct. Yes.
You want to talk about going from one end of the spectrum to the other.
From everything to nothing.
I was like, wow. But that's how fishing is, right? If everybody could do it, it wouldn't be.
Everybody be doing it.
It was interesting.
And you know what? The thing with Pool 2 as well, for those that don't know, it's a straight catch and release pool. So that's one of the great things about our circuit we're doing. We're allowed to go to areas like that where when it's a catch 5, live weigh-in, Pool 2 is never in play. So this has really never been done on Pool 2, but it's a fantastic fishery. Unfortunately, like a lot of the events we came across this year, we dealt with low water, no flow, bite a lot harder than was anticipated when the schedule was made. But I know because it's all being viewed, or the video, the whole show, people want to see fish catches, and I get it. Personally, I think it's great watching us anglers when we struggle, and by struggle I mean when we have to catch, you're looking for 1-2 scoreable fish a day, and watching the intensity of all the anglers when you get to see that. To me, that's a cool part. Like, we love seeing like a Mille Lacs event when we're putting up between 40 to 70 pounds. Those are fun too, don't get me wrong. But when you catch a 5-pounder and now you advance to the grade 8 because you caught one good one, or when that one comes off beside the boat, and that was the difference of why you didn't make it, which I bring that up because that's exactly what happened to me at Pool 2. I dropped 2 good fish right beside the boat that would have had me in easily. But on tough bites like that, you can't do that. That's the difference of making the bracket and not. And I dropped 2 fish, which I would have been probably sitting in 3rd place if I had them. Instead, I think I finished in like 18th or 19th because I did not have them.
You know what? But obviously people want to see fish. That's for sure. But
100%.
When you go to what you guys call Dinkfest, watching you all trying to just catch a fish is pretty cool too. I'm not gonna lie, because every little possible bite you're trying to get, you just need a fish.
So I'm a big fan of Dinkfest. I know there's some haters on it.
I like it.
I think it's fantastic, and the reason being, as an angler, so like I'm going to use the Lake Wisconsin event as an example. That was really tough event, and it didn't take long, at least for me, or I'm sure a lot of the guys, when they started pre-fishing. We only get 3 days of pre-fish, and we have 30 days off limits before then. So once you realize how tough a bite is, there is a whole nother strategy that now you have to prepare for. And, like Mille Lacs, there was no dink fest. There was no question. I did not have a dink spot. That was not even, honestly, the ones I caught that were under surprised me. All my 3 practice days, I never caught a fish that weighed under 2 pounds. So the ones that I did, I was actually a little worried that a smaller class of fish moved into mine. But Lake Wisconsin, I did not make the grade 8. I had a spot ready. If I made the grade 8, to go dinking in, where I thought I could catch probably close to 12 pounds an hour with dinks. And that's stuff you have to prepare for. Like I give Isaac all the credit in the world, especially with his Lake Wisconsin win. He won that event because he was prepared to go dinking. He won his first 2 bracket matches in Dinkfest. And as soon as it turned to Dinkfest, he took off. He went to a spot. He was catching 4 6-ounce fish. It doesn't matter then, though, because they go on, that's weight. You're still gaining.
Yep, exactly.
And he won, I want to say by 4 ounces, dinking, and won in his first matchup, I believe it was. It was something really small, and he was catching this little fish, but he almost caught him every pitch. He was casting flies, and he did it almost every time he cast it out. He had a fantastic spot for that and was prepared. But that's part of the strategy with all this. There's so many variables. It's so much fun.
Speaking of strategy, Mark Coleman wants to know, how important is boat placement when fishing a rock pile?
Oh, probably more important than your cast. Your boat position is what sets you up on, and that's kind of back to what I was saying with my bite on Mille Lacs I had. There's fish there. I knew they were there. They repositioned every day. And when you're in a timed event like that, you don't have all the time in the world to try to work a piece of structure and figure out where they reposition, especially if there was only 2 of them, and then you only end up catching 2 of them, and you spent an hour and a half trying to figure out where they were at, and you got 2. Mille Lacs fish different. The general rule of thumb is they will, on most places on a rock hump, they're gonna the downward side or the upwind side, they're gonna position there because everything's blowing right into the face of that. And generally, it's gonna blow bait fish, it's gonna blow everything right into there, and that's where they're gonna set up. Mille Lacs was almost the exact opposite, and I'm thankful I figured that out. That whenever we did get a little bit of wind, those fish went to the totally opposite side, and not only that, they actually slid off the structure. That spot where I made my big rally, I was probably 70 yards off the actual structure catching those fish. And again, I had figured that out during practice that they moved, and in fishing terms, at least to me, that's a ways off the structure. And they all slid out in a wolf pack out there. And once I found them and really cued in on them, I believe, I think I went 4 for 4 in casts or 5, something like that, like 5 straight casts. I caught one because once you can dial in a program like that, then you're on them, and that's when you get to just pick them apart. But yeah, a boat positioning, boat control is 100% key when fishing structure.
Well, kind of going along the same lines, what you're just talking about, going back to that area. Day after day after day, same time. Do you ever worry about overfishing a certain area?
Yeah, 100%. And honestly, how good that area that I ended my days on was, I was so tempted to start there. It was like, well, I keep going there at the end of the day and catching anywhere from 3 to 6 fish within an hour, which is great. That's a great pace. And it was almost one of them things where I said to myself, I'm like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I never fished there in the morning. I didn't. I stayed away from it, and I was confident in the other stuff I had going. I was kind of like get my weight, and I knew once I hit that 45-minute to an hour spot, and it wasn't it was a program I was fishing there. So a lot of that stuff that I fished, I didn't even touch there in practice. It was this confidence. I knew what I was looking for. I would pull up beside it, and again, your electronics are huge. I'd use my side scan. If I saw the rock I wanted, I would fish it. I knew I'd catch one. So yeah, I was, I'd pull up next to a hump that I just saw on my map, and I'd see what I wanted, and I'd get in position and catch a fish or 2 off it and move to the next. But
now when you say you pull up to a rock or a hump, did you get to the point where you were looking for a specific rock?
Yeah. And with our practice and my past experience, I knew exactly what I was looking for. On Mille Lacs, I don't want to say boulders. There's not like giant boulders out there, but a bigger rock with gravel all down the side was the key. And you would see some of these humps come up and it'd just be gravel, or it would just have some of this larger rock on it. And as soon as it started dipping down to the deep, it'd just be straight sand. Those I'd skip right over. Not saying you can't catch a fish off them, but that was not the most productive area. When you had bigger rock right on top, and then it had the gradual gravel, that was absolutely set up on it and fish it, because you will catch a couple.
Well, you had mentioned earlier in the first segment, you said you go back there, every day and fish that same spot. And you said it was quite a haul. And I also noticed within the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes, Joe Okada actually made 2 different hauls to hit a different spot. You guys run Yamahas, they're reliable, you get up and go. But, I mean, it takes guts to make those hauls that late in the game and get to a spot. I mean, when do you know it's like, okay, I got to go now or I don't go? I mean, kind of go through that mindset of being able to just take off and make a run for it.
Well, like you said, yes, we run Yamahas, both me and Joe, and that is the reason, because when you need to make those runs, those last minute, it's the reliability, it's the performance. I know I can. I have the confidence in my equipment. Without having the confidence in my equipment, I can never do that type of stuff. And like you said, when do you know? To me, I'm a gut feeling fisherman. Like that was all. I didn't have set like a hard in, a hard out type time. It was all by gut. It was feel and gut. And again, I'm 100% confident in my Yamaha. So yeah, I've got no problem. I know I'm going to get there quick. I know I'm going to get there. And as soon as my gut says it's time to reel in, let's make the run. And that's what I did for 5 days. And again, worked out. We got to hold the checkup at the end. So
well, that's one thing you gotta, besides your equipment, your motor is kind of a little bit of important, that when you decide you got to go and you turn that key, you better be getting going.
Yeah, 100%. And again, this is just another reason why since day one, I've always ran a Yamaha. And, I'm always honest with people. I'm very, very blunt, honest when I see them at shows and stuff. And they ask me why. And I'll say, if you're an absolute speed freak and you want to be the fastest boat out there when you're trimmed up going, maybe a Yamaha is not for you. But if you want to know that when you turn the key, it starts, you're going to get the best fuel mileage, the reliability. When you make, last year at the NWT, I was making a 125-mile run one way. That's it. I mean, it's insane. But it wasn't even a second thought because of my equipment. And again, that starts with the motor on the back of my boat. I know I can do that with confidence. I left myself with an hour and 30 minutes of fishing time making that run. And I did it without even thinking twice. I know I can do it because I know my motor's going to get me back. It's going to start. I've got the best fuel mileage. So I only need to make one fuel stop when, there was a handful of other guys. By handful, I'm saying 4, that made the run. They were requiring 2 fuel stops. I could do it in 1 because, again, the fuel mileage is great on them. So, yeah, that's 100% why. And especially in the multi-species, the walleye side, like I always tell people, how often do you get to really just let it rip and trim up? That we don't do that. We're not on, like the bass side when them guys get to just go 80 miles an hour, trim it up, have the, basically an inch of the boat in the water. We don't get to do that much. We're usually on bigger bodies of water, or even a 5-10 mile an hour wind, which is pretty common everywhere. Blows it up a little bit where you still have to throttle back a little bit, and that's where the Yamaha performs. It's a fantastic motor. I'm so thankful for them, and I can't wait for the coming years. I'm not going to lie, missing this McConaughey event, it really hurt where I was sitting in the standings. It guaranteed me I'm not making the championship. Obviously, it's a five tournament qualifier. You can't miss an event and make the championship. But obviously for good reasons. I had my son, Beckett James Blosser. I am so happy we had him. Actually, I had joked with some of my buddies, my brother. I texted him. I said, I had just put my earbuds in, was tuning into the PWS to watch them, and suddenly things ramped up in the old delivery room, and it was time to quick throw my earbuds out of my ears before I got in trouble with my wife.
Those earbuds.
I kept one in for a little bit, and then once I realized it was actually really serious, I'm like, I better not get caught with one in, listening to the my brother fish the PWS. So
yeah, that earbud might have become permanent, buddy.
Yeah. I like I said, I love it, but I also I think sometimes, and I'm pretty sure that was the right call. But yeah, he was born at 8:25 in the morning, so them boys went lines in at 8, and it was great. Obviously, I would never trade it for the world. That was a fantastic experience. I'm so thankful. Everything went smooth. Mom and baby are doing great. But, when I switch modes and look at the fishing side, it hurt a little bit because I was right there. I truly feel I would have been in the championship, which is coming up in October, I believe. But like I said to the PWS, the head-to-head, I did an interview with them. I said, just watch out next year, because there's a lot of little things with this format to figure out. And I feel my attention to detail has been spot on this year. And I said, you will be seeing my name in the top 5 a lot next year. I can't wait to get it started. And with the PWS and, especially my great sponsors, including Yamaha, we're going to have a fantastic season next year. I wish it was closer, but I'm anxiously waiting.
All right, man. I tell you what, we're bumping up here on our second break.
And we got some more questions. So.
We got a lot of questions, so we're going to step outside. We're going to take a next break, and we'll answer a few of them when we come back. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Welcome back. Third segment of the show. Easy for me.
And for those on the podcast, it's another reason why you got to tune in to the live Facebook or even on YouTube to catch it later in the week. There's things that goes on in the breaks that you don't hear that we talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Wondering how somebody gets an earbud impaled into their ear.
That's right.
Find out
in a delivery room.
But anyways, Mark Coleman wants to know, do walleye choose a natural current over structure, like you said, like 70 yards off a rock hump?
Assuming you're talking lakes, correct? I'll answer it talking lakes. So honestly, Mille Lacs fishes, it's one of the most fantastic fisheries in the world. I've always described Mille Lacs. If you look at a map of it and you think there should be a fish there, there will be. But again, we're looking for different caliber fish, or at least I am. On top of the humps, there was fish. There was fish to be caught. They were the smaller fish. I just found yes. And what I think it was at that time, there's so much bait. And if you were watching them fish we were catching, they actually weren't fat. They're very healthy, but not fat. They didn't weigh a ton considering their length. They are bug eaters. There are multiple bug hatches. The bloodworms. They're, in my opinion, the Mille Lacs fish are just lazy fish. So what them fish were doing, they was actually sliding off. I was talking about that gravel that came off to the deeper water, and then it went to a sand mud bottom. They were right on that transition. And the reason being is because they had their bloodworms. We actually were fishing during a bug hatch. I don't know how many fish I caught that spit up, either the worms, mayflies, lake flies. There's so much, shad perch in there for them to eat, but they don't have to because there's so many bugs. This is my opinion. I'm not saying this is a for sure thing. I truly do believe it, though, that they're just lazy fish, and that's why you have to basically put a bait right in front of them. But when you do, they all want to eat because they're really not that full. And, that was kind of at least my thought process when I was breaking down Mille Lacs for those 3 days.
So when they've got a lot of natural food like that where you were at, and you're pitching an artificial bait, even though it's artificial, if you put it right in their mouth, they're going to strike it, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's why, Mille Lacs is just, with live bait, it's known as a fantastic power corking lake, rigging chubs, slip bobber, and you saw Max Wilson. He actually went to an artificial leech and did very well with that. Mm-hmm. He was slip bobbering. He was targeting individual fish. He'd pitch his bobber over them and they'd eat it. But again, he'd have to pitch his bobber over them. He wasn't going to a spot blind saying there should be fish here, let's cast the bobber out and wait. They're not going to come get it. He was able to use his active target, or I believe he's Garmin, Panoptics, and he would, pitch right to that fish. And he was watching him eat it on his screen and then set the hook.
Wow. Nothing like watching it on TV, actually, when it's below you and setting the hook. And that's amazing. I got to hand it to the electronics for being that good. Not going to lie.
Right.
They really are. And that Mille Lacs event, I guess one of my biggest compliments I got was from Max and Isaac when they found out I did not have active target or Panoptics. When we were talking afterwards, they had said, "Hey, were you spotting them fish, individually targeting them?" And I said, "No." I said, I don't have it yet. I was waiting for mine. I've been waiting for it." And Max's quote was great. He said, "I lost to someone without Panoptics or active target." And I said, "Yeah, you sure did." And I will say though, Mississippi event, I had it on my boat then. It finally came. I finally got it installed right away, and that's the first time I got to play with it. Wow, what a tool! What a tool! I mean, all this quick, I was fishing wing dams there. I was not using it to target an individual fish, but what it was saving, there's got to be 200 to 300 wing dams down Pool 2. I would pull up to a wing dam, and I was able to scan that dam, and I could see if there was activity on it, if there was fish swimming on it. So basically, it saved my time. I'd say, yes, this is an active dam, let's fish it. Or I'd come to it and not see much, say, nope, move to the next one. So that's how I was using it on the Mississippi River.
Making the most use of the time you had.
Correct, because we have such little time to break these bodies of water down.
We had
to be efficient.
We had a couple questions earlier asking about the actual lures and baits that you were using. Don't you have something there that you can show us?
I think I do.
If you want to give that information away, that's entirely up to you.
Yeah, this is the winning bait right there. So what that is a Strike King Rage Swimmer 375 and what they call blue bug. Blue on the bottom, black on top, little paddle tail. I was throwing that on a 1/2 ounce swim bait head right here. That was the ticket for me. I threw a lot of things at them, and you can catch them a lot of ways. That had the most consistency for me, and that was my comfort zone. And throughout the 5-day tournament, I had 6 rods ready to go. All 6 rods had a 1/2 ounce with a blue bug, 3 3/4 inch Rage tail or Rage Swimmer on it. That's how confident I was on it. There was no second guessing. I was throwing that, so if I ever broke off in the rocks, got bit off, there was pike and muskie in Mille Lacs that you get bit off occasionally. The next rod I grabbed was the same exact thing. It was going right back out.
That's confidence.
Could you put that jig head into that bait?
Yeah. So
I want to see how you do that.
Again, my lighting's not the best here. So on this Rage Swimmer, it's kind of ribbed here. Trying to get it. Let's see. Yeah, you can kind of see it.
Yep.
There's little ribs here. So when I bait this, and as you can see, the black side of this note from there, that's how you want it to swim. You need that paddle down. I'll take my hook and I line it up just how I want it. And I'm very picky, and I'm a true believer that when you put plastics on, if you got that little kink in there, like this, like that, however, it needs to be straight. So what I do on a bait like this that has the ribs, I'll line it up like this, and you take the bottom. Let me switch it around this way now. Take the bottom of that hook. This is a 3-aught, and I'll pin it right there. That is where I need that tip to come out. And then on one that has the ribs like this, I will actually physically count them. That way I know I poke out right at the right spot. Other baits, and you come right through the head, and other baits that are not, say, ribbed, so to say, what I'll actually do, and I'll show you after I get this one on there. So just like that, there we go. See how it lays perfect? I'm tight up against the collar, and it's straight all the way through. It's a huge deal, to not have it bunched up. And I think everyone knows what I'm talking about. We've all put a plastic on that didn't quite line up. What I was saying with a piece of plastic, if I'm using that is not ribbed, I'll actually take my fingernail on that same mark, and I'll kind of bury it in, and basically you can make a strike on it. You can, you're not cutting into the plastic, but you see your little scratch.
Mm-hmm.
That way, as I thread it, I know right when I'm there, I feel for that tip, bang, pull it out right there, and it's lined up perfect every time.
Okay.
Thank you very much, because I was up at Michigami Reservoir up in the UP, and of course, I'm like, all right, I got to get some of these things. And all right, now I know how to truly do it. I kind of did the same thing, kind of. I just, like you said, you make that body straight. It's kind of, but now I had a professional teach me, so I'm good.
How successful were you? Were you as successful as him?
I did, no, not even close. But I did have some bites.
Okay.
So it was good. It was,
It's a mistake I see a lot, with, I guess if you want to say amateur fishermen or every, your weekend guys, when they're rigging plastics, and it's almost this carelessness, I think, which is fine. I mean, if you're out there for fun, do it how you want. But like little details like that is very important to having more bites and more hookups. Again, when I was younger, I would just kind of thread it on and be like, sure, just tear it, Now it's straight. But now your tail's going like this because you got a tear in there. And so I'll admit, before I really got big into it, I was lazy putting plastics and even crawlers on. And those little attention to details can really, really relate to multiple more bites and hookups.
Well, like you said, in your tournaments, you only can use artificial lures. So you're basically trying to mimic a live something or another out there. So you better try to get it as close to realistic as you can.
Trying to bring some more light in here. There we go. Here I am.
It's getting dark.
Too much. It was a sun.
Getting dark in Wisconsin, right? So it definitely, those little attentions to detail, can definitely pay off on a bite or no bite. So when got your, like you said, if you make the cut and you get into the head thing, it becomes that, we were watching the videos you were talking, the mind game when you took the lead and there was 7 minutes to go and all of a sudden Joe just picks up and starts hauling butt in his boat to another spot. It's that, like you said, you had 6 rods already ready to go. So
yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, that Mille Lacs event, even because Joe jumped on me right away. He did what I did to everyone else leading up to that, basically put the pressure on. But I mentally had told myself, I am so confident in my program. And basically, if I fish my program well and he beats me, I'll tip my hat. I didn't have a bailout. I wasn't panicking. And I think I had 46 pounds, 45 at the end. That's what we finished up with. That's exactly what I wanted.
You were at 45.5.
There it is, 45. Yep. So that was exactly what I wanted. I had a good day. Again, if I have a good day, you beat me, I will tip my hat to you every day and shake your hand and say congratulations. And that was my mindset going into it with Joe putting these monster weights up. If he was going to beat me, you were going to have to break 50, pretty much. I knew I was going to at least make you do that. If you go 70, 80 pounds, can't wait to see you on the pier, laugh about it and say, heck of a job, man, you deserved it. But you were going to have to do something like that to beat me because I was going to be consistent.
Right. And another question is, in a typical tournament, how many rods do you pre-rig and why that many?
Oof. Honestly, that all depends on the body of water. A place like Mille Lacs, it's Minnesota. You're only allowed 1 rod per guy, which it's only us in the boat. So that wasn't bad. I would say, as I drove up to Mille Lacs, I probably had 10 spinning rods, 2 lead core rods, and 1 mono trolling rod, I think is what I had rigged up. Now, for instance, a place like Detroit, I had quite a few trolling rods just in case, lead core, multiple different spinning rods. I had them short, medium, heavies for jigging them 1 ounce or 3/4 inch jigs. I had my medium 7-footers for cast and blade baits, rip and wraps. So I probably had I don't know, close to 18 rods ready to go when I went there. So
depending on body of water, what type of water, and what you think you need, it could be from, like you said, Minnesota, you're allowed 1 rod in. Others 2. So that's another thing. But like you said, you don't know what they're going to be biting on. So it could be 1 to 20 rods that you got sitting around waiting, depending on where you're going.
Correct. And when I say rigged and ready to go, those are the rods in my boat. I'll have other rods in my truck with me just in case suddenly I see something I wasn't expecting. Big one in the walleye side's hand lining. Detroit, I hand lined, that was in the boat. That's not really a secret there that's a successful tactic. But my hand lines are always, I love hand line. I do. So if I can find current and find an area that I think is productive hand lining, I'll bring them out. At the NWT, what was that, last year? When we were out at Sakawea, out in North Dakota Reservoir, there was an area there that had a little bit of current on it, but it was more to disguise. And I actually got a lot of compliments for doing it in pre-fish. It was so I could hide fish. Instead of trolling crankbaits, I wanted to have my hand lines out. I felt I could fish just as effectively, only I had my 2 lines stacked. And whenever I hooked up, I was just able to casually pull off the structure, act like there's nothing there. For those that have hand line, it's just all of a sudden it's like, you feel that pulling. So I can just kind of hold it beside the boat. And as I go past the troller, wave as I got a, 3-4 pounder shaking back. I can get away from everyone, land that fish, see what it was, swing back around, get right back in line. Where when you're trolling and you're by up multiple boats, if guys are paying attention, they can see you have a fish on. It's pretty clear. When you're hand lining, you can hide them so easily. And that's one reason I do love doing it. It's, for practice, I'm able to position my boat even in, rivers, high current. I can just spin the nose one way to block it. Yes, someone may have seen I caught a fish, but I'll never let them see what it was, so they can think what they want. But it's all them little games you play during your practice period.
Absolutely, and it's one of those things. Another question is: do you spool up new line every tournament, and is it mono or fluorocarbon?
Yes and no to the first question. All depends on usage and what I need for the next one. Generally, when I'm casting, I actually like using like the Crystal or the Tracer 8. Those are my go-to. There's always a time for mono. I rarely spool a full spool with fluorocarbon. Now, there are times I will run big leads, tie uni knots, have a 3-foot fluorocarbon lead. Not saying there's not a place for fluorocarbon. At least for my experience, I don't feel the need, especially, when you're talking costs and stuff. There's no need, in my opinion, to put an entire spool on. If you can tie a good uni knot, when you can still have a 3, 4, 5-foot leader of fluoro in front of your presentation. But yeah, generally I am like the Tracer 8, the Berkeley, even the Crystal with a uni knot to fluorocarbon would be my general setup.
All right, and is there any you need to do that when you re-spool something out? Is there a time limit for that line? I know, like typically every year people change over, but because you use it so much, do you do it like just before the tournament you leave to go, or you're there? Is there a time limit that you try to get it all done before?
So I obviously prepare for each event before I leave, but I don't say like, hey, all these rods need to be respooled. I go through and check them. It all depends on usage, the stretch it got from the last one. If I used a rod and casted it, even say 10, 20 times, I don't need to strip everything off. It's fine. Now, I will always strip at least probably, my go-to number. If I'm not changing line, I always take 7 pulls. And it's just a lucky 7 thing. It's super, fishermen have it. So no matter what, I will open the bail and go 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 7, and take big pulls off, cut it, and retie right there. So basically all that line that has been exposed in front of my presentation and stuff, I get rid of that, start fresh. Obviously, if you have any break-offs or anything and your spool's short, I will always re-spool then. I never, run a short spool. There's so many advantages to having your spool full. That's very important as far as your retrieve time, your cast distance. So yeah, if I have if I make a bomb cast and get hung up and break off, later that evening, I'll probably strip down to my backing and re-spool that.
Okay, cool. Well, I tell you what, we're coming up on our last break. And in the last break, we're going to turn towards the end of the tournament when I thought something kind of cool happened on video, and extremely cool for you. So we'll be right back.
All right, we'll step outside. We'll be right back after this.
Acceleration is part of PSE's DNA. PSE pioneered the speed movement. Now they've developed the vapor category to help you find the most powerful bows on the market to fit you.
High speed equates to intense power and building the momentum you need to be successful. Are you a vapor shooter? Find out at psearchery.com.
Welcome back. Last segment of the show. We're going to head down the road towards the end of the tournament. Danny, you got that video?
Yeah, I will. So this kind of plays into the question Mark Coleman wanted to know. If ever, is the clock not your competition, like 50 pounds lead or a 50-pound deficit, or do you just fish like crazy every minute? Well, obviously, depending on where you are in the tournament, in the video you see Joe running around right to the last minute.
Yeah, I think he pulled up with like 2 or 3 minutes to go.
He did. With 7 minutes to go, he made a beeline for a last spot.
He did that twice.
Yes, in the last 15 minutes. And Josh was on his rock hump, but your brother was in the lead and
in his
head-to-head match, and he decided he wanted to go see his brother at the end of the tournament. Now, on video this is awesome, but you gotta tell us when he showed up. Did you know he was on the way over?
No. So yeah, I mean, quickly, that was beyond a cool moment, and I will never forget this. So I was fishing very hard when he pulled up. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure he saw me catch the fish that put me ahead. So I was still down, I believe, when he pulled up. I had one other boat, which I'd call like a chase boat. Someone that had found me out there was being very respectful, giving me plenty of, and actually some of the pictures I posted, they took from that boat and sent to me, which was fantastic. It was awesome to capture a lot of that from them. They were rooting me on. And then I heard another boat coming, and I really hadn't seen any boats in this area the whole week. So naturally, as I hear a boat buzzing in, and you can tell it's coming right here, I glanced over my shoulder, and I remember just quick seeing it and turning my head. I knew who it was, but I wouldn't let myself commit that it was him because I knew what he was doing. Obviously, at that time, I've asked for a couple updates to know what Joe's doing, and I've also heard what the rest of the field was. And, I was happy to hear my brother had his match pretty well wrapped up. And I remember when I glanced over my shoulder and saw his boat coming, it was almost like, nope, I didn't see that. Because it meant so much to me. But at that last 15 minutes, 10 minutes, whenever he pulled up there, I had to still focus. I knew how close this battle was. So at the time, I said, Mike, nope, don't even look, just keep fishing. And that's what I did. But you'll see at the end of the video, like when they called, lines out, I immediately turned right to them. And that's when I give the I don't know.
Yep.
Basically, like, I tried hard. I heard I was in the lead, but, and I think I even said it on camera. I'm like, it's technology, Joe. Joe could have caught one right at the end. It's just not updated yet. I'm not saying anything. And it was actually my brother's marshal who got the first word, and he hollered over and said, it's official, dude. Congratulations. So,
and that's when you raised your hands above your head. We got the video rolling right now that you got word. And I tell you what, that was like a made-for-TV moment. It was just one of those things, because I think Andy called it that your brother was on his way to you before everything. And, when you had both cameras in your boat and in his boat kind of playing off each other, I tell you what, that was awesome.
So, yeah, from what I've heard, there was maybe a little communication between the marshals, which I had no idea. And because Robert had no idea where I was at. I mean, we're at the end of our day. I don't think I even saw him all day. So I think there was a little communication maybe. If not, it's my brother. He knew where I was ending my days, to say the least. He knew I would probably be there. So he may have just went on a whim and said, hey, I'm going to go check here. If he ain't there, I guess I don't know. But yeah, no, pretty special moment. And he even, once it was all official, he bumped his boat up to mine and jumped over, and definitely a hug I won't forget for a long time.
And then it hit you as you were sitting there and they were rolling the cameras, and it was just one of those things that you could see all the emotions of you winning the tournament, you with your brother there. It hit you.
Oh my God. Yeah. And one thing I took from that tournament was, I guess, the compliments I got from fans, just saying it was nice to see an angler wear his emotions and not, they didn't feel it was just a show, which it wasn't at all. It was a surreal moment for me. Once that was actually official, the emotions kind of started to pour out of me. But then, when you get, how many people get to have a win, have their brother watch the last, let's call it 15 minutes of your rally, and then get to be the first one to jump in your boat and give you a hug. I mean, that was you can't script that stuff. Pretty phenomenal day. It was, and he didn't finish that bad himself. I believe he took third place. So
yeah,
he was fit for nothing either. I mean, he was in a very important matchup, and he did work, and so really, really special moment for us. It was pretty cool. I hope moving forward we get a couple more of them, and the one I really want, I hope it works out. I would love for us to meet in a championship.
That would be awesome if you guys could pull that off, where you guys just, coming down to the last day, it's Blosser versus Blosser, and I tell you what.
Well, I was watching that the whole week, and I was watching. I mean, because for those who don't know, all four of you, Brett King, Joe Okada, and you and your brother, you both, all four of you made, the Yamaha guys made the grade 8, and then three of you wound up placing in the top 3. I mean, it was incredible. But I was sitting there and I'm like, well, if Robert beats Joe, I said, he's going to wind up having to go head to head with his brother. I said, this will be cool, So
yeah, it was set up out there. We had a chance. I mean, obviously it's tough to do if it ever happens. It's great to go, like you said, us Yamaha guys, we went 1, 2, 3, and 6. I mean, Brett really let us down taking a 6th place there. So, no, it's phenomenal. I mean, that was awesome.
Yeah,
you can't ask for the Yamaha guys. We had a great event. The cards were there. Both me and Robert were in the semis, and unfortunately he met the juggernaut Joe. That was, I believe Robert that was when Joe went 76 pounds or something. Robert had 65.
Yeah, it was
crazy.
It was crazy. And Steve Schwartz wants to know if you're sponsored by the chapstick company you were religiously
Oh my goodness. So I should. It's straight chapstick, and I've had a lot of comments about that at the end. What that was dehydration. Again, we were talking about the heat, and I was forcing myself to just chug a bottle of water because we're so in the zone when this is happening. And, I took precautions beforehand, before we even launched their boats. It was water, water, water. I'm a big coffee drinker. Speaking of which, you guys were talking about your coffee.
What you got there?
I had these fellas send me a couple packs of something. It was called Deer Camp, made by Deer Camp. And it was a Up North Journal medium roast. Phenomenal.
What do you think?
You guys,
what do you think about that?
Thank you. Love it. And after my newborn here, I am my evenings are a coffee water diet because I have late nights right now.
Staying up a little late, are you, huh? Okay.
So I am very thankful for that. Yes. But back to what I was saying, I'm a big coffee drinker, and I even, I had a small cup. I didn't have what I usually do because, again, my main focus because of our heat was hydration. And I knew once I got in the zone, I'm not saying it's the right thing, but I just didn't give myself time to drink water out on the water.
Mm-hmm.
So when I would pull a bottle out, I would chug the thing. And at the end there, people kept seeing me with the chapstick. But again, that was because I was dehydrated. My lips were so dry. I finally had a chance in my mind to try to re-moisturize. I think I went through 3-4 bottles of water, just standing there waiting. Finally had the chance to rehydrate, but yeah, that's what it is. But I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I got chapstick in my pocket, sitting right here. Here it is.
There you go. You don't hear too many fishermen talking about moisturizing.
But the thing is, they all do.
You had to that day.
Their lips would fall off. I mean, I have to have this stuff right here. If not, because it's got SPF 15 in it.
Right.
If not, I'd have blisters. My brother Robert's even worse than I am. If he doesn't have something SPF 40 or bigger or more for his lips, he's done so. So it's like, and then those little details that you see, it's a matter of being able to fish the next day or not.
Right. No,
well, that's the thing, right? And like you said, having your brother there, and you four guys are really close friends. One of the questions is about that. Competition fishing seems fun but exhausting. Obviously, you get drained and everything. How do you stay motivated? And if your batteries get drained, how do you get that back? Because you're going to have the next tournament next month, and what gets you to that point that says, yeah, let's do this?
To me, it's my competitive flow. There's never, and I think that Mille Lacs win shows there's never quit. I was down by a lot of weight there. just keep fishing hard. I always fish right to the end. I fish hard all the time. All of us that are doing this professionally, I truly believe there's that competitiveness where it doesn't matter. You're not looking. It is a job. I mean, you're there to do a job, and you are going to do it the best you can. Whether your best is good enough to win or your best is last place, you still need to leave there knowing that you did your best. You may have things to learn and improve on, which, that's with the marshals in the boat. That's the one thing I always tell them. I said, if you're not having the stellar day, you better be learning, because if not, you're getting lapped. So when you're struggling, you better be trying to figure out why. You better be figuring out why the guys that are doing well, and you better bank that in the back of your head for the next time. And I'm not even saying that body of water, just another similar situation. It's amazing how many times you come up when all of a sudden you pull up on something, you're like, man, they're here, they should be here. Why? And then it clicks. It's like, well, back at this spot, I did this and this. They set up down here. Let's try this. And then your first cast in there, bang, there's a big one. You always need to be taking mental notes. You always need to be learning, even the best. And, I consider my brother one of, if not the best. He's got the resume to back it up as well. He is constantly learning too. So
is that another driving force, because I imagine you guys being brothers, competition goes back as far back as you guys are.
Yeah. Driving force, it's, I don't compare myself to him. It's not like I look at him and his accolades and say, I need to do better. I need to beat that. It's what I love about this format is before, we would go out and we were just one of 100, one of 150. Yes, were we competing against each other? Yes, but there's 150. Now, when we leave the dock, there's 32 of us in the PWS. Like, we're truly competing against each other in a tighter manner. So that part I've really enjoyed. It's fun. We mentioned the other Yamaha guys, Brett King, Joe Okada. Same with them. We're very chummy outside of our boats. But when game day comes, it's serious. It's game on, and we'll see you back at the launch, and may the best man win. And again, when that time comes, we'll obviously congratulate each other. But on the water, it's game on. Let's go. It's either you go home or I go home, and I'm not ready to go home. So,
well, talking about seriousness, of all this, one thing that I picked up on in that Mille Lacs tournament was they were talking about your hook set. And calling you Big Hook Set and Hook Set Josh. I got a picture up right now, and man, you've got a huge hook set going. Talk a little bit about that, and them giving you a little business on it.
So yeah, they took it and ran with it, which was awesome. It was fun. I started hearing about it and getting messages and about how much they were running with the hook set. But there was, it was more than just a giant hook set. There was a reason for it. If you watch my casts, I am making bomb casts. I am throwing that thing as hard as I can, as far as I can. That was part of the way I was fishing, was getting away from the boat. A lot of times before it even hit the bottom, I'd get that tick. And you would hear me describe, if you go watch the footage there, my bites felt like someone just came up to my line and just flicked it. And there was times, I want to say it was day 3 or day 4, that we had a little bit of wind, not like on the championship day, but it was enough where my jersey was flapping every once in a while, and it would hit the butt of my rod. Mm-hmm. And I had to be so dialed in to feeling this a little tiny tick, tick, that you see me quick stop for a second and quick tuck my jersey in on that, just on that side, just real quick, just shoved it in, because I couldn't, every time that would flap and just tap the back of the rod, it kind of felt like the bite. It was a pretty sensitive bite I was feeling. So, but yeah, and when I felt it, yeah, I would lay the lumber to him for sure.
Yeah,
my dad always thought that. That was one thing my dad taught me. He was a bass fisherman, and as probably most of you know, but he said, doesn't cost you anything to swing. If you don't swing, you'll lose a fish. So
right,
you think it's there, give her.
So if you're going to swing big, right?
Exactly.
Talk about ripping lips, huh?
Oh yeah.
So you already had that put on your boat or on your jersey or something like that, hook set, big hook set. So is that going to be a nickname that follows you think?
I hope not. What would they say? What were they? Tiptoe and puckers. I think what their exact words were. Another tiptoe and pucker. I mean,
that's good stuff.
Mark Coleman. Actually, there is fisherwomen in this sport. Actually, Mary Ann Husky is her name, and she won the very next tournament at Mississippi Pool 2. And if you go watch the video of that, when you go watch that video, you'll catch on to the two different tournaments and from one to the other, and it was awesome. And she did win it. And
we talked to Andy Cleveland about that when we had him on.
Yep,
it was right after that.
It was awesome. So yeah, absolutely. And is there any advice that you could give? There it is. Is there any advice you could give for someone new, or if they're interested in doing competitive fishing? What's your best advice?
My best advice would be, if you're just getting started, have reasonable expectations. I'm not saying don't believe in yourself, but have reasonable expectations so you don't get down on yourself. You got to understand, in competitive and especially professional fishing, there's a reason there's tiers. There truly is. Experience, skill level, it doesn't matter why. There is a reason. Don't go out and get your head down. And the second thing, and I kind of touched on it before, when you do have those bad events, take the time and learn why. Again, always learn. You know, when I first started off, sure, I had some really poor events. I did, and still will. I mean, it happens. But when I have them, now my mindset goes to why. You know, I will do everything I can to try to dissect what happened and why I was not on a bite and who did get on a good bite. What were they doing? As much as that information is out there, I'm going to gather and keep for myself. You know, if it's out there public, I want it. And I'm going to, again, like I said, store it for another event. So, yeah, always be learning.
There you go.
Great advice.
Great advice. And if you think you got a shot, get over to Head to Head Fishing. Check out their website. Check out their website. They've got the professional side. They've also got a regular. They've got the Pro Walleye Series and the Walleye League, actually. And there's some things going on that you can sign up to get on there. And with that being said, Josh, I think the top 30 make it to next year, and then they're going to have some play in for next year to make it 32. So I think you're sitting good at 17 for now.
Yeah, no, I'll be back next year.
All right,
I'm good with that. Yeah, for sure. I'm back next year. I will be with the PWS next year. Again, I had in my standards a little subpar year. I had high expectations. This McConaughey event, if I was able to go fish it, I think could have secured myself. Again, I truly believe I would have made the championship if I was out there. And kind of a not disappointing year. I mean, I had a win. How can you say it was a disappointing year? You know, the first two events I struggled at, so I was not happy with myself. But again, I stuck to it. I got a win. The Mississippi River event, I had a right program. I lost 2 fish right by the boat. Whether it's my fault, it happens. Hey, I was casting crankbaits. We all know how that goes. Yeah, I'm looking forward. I will be back with the PWS next year, and I can't wait.
And when planning on having kids, make sure you get the right dates.
That's right.
Yes.
Well, speaking of next year, when do they choose the venues, the sites that you guys are going to be fishing at? Does that happen soon?
Sure. So when you say they, that's actually us, the anglers. That's okay. The cool thing with the PWS. All these events, good, bad, or indifferent, we can't complain. We picked them. So
right?
that is one of the cool things about this circuit that doesn't happen on any other ones. A lot of conference calls with all 32 of us, with the tournament director, with Brian Keller, with Kyle Carpenter, and they're all great. They're all great calls. Everyone's there for the right reason. We get things done in them. But yeah, that'll be, I believe they want to announce the schedule at the championship, if I heard right. So that'll be getting dialed down. Championship's middle of October, so a month and a half.
If Danny and I got any say at all, which we don't, but we'll say, hey, come up to our neck of the woods, put in Saginaw Bay.
Right?
Come play in our water.
You never know. That's not a bad body of water.
It's not a bad body of water, and I do believe it's in, I'm looking here real quick. Oh, yeah, I'm going to pronounce this lake really good. It's in Chautauqua, New York.
Oh, the championship.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah.
All right. On that lake, October 11th through the 15th, and you can tune in to watch head-to-head, the championship, and
Facebook
hopefully,
Live.
and watch it on Facebook or YouTube for them guys. Like I said, go over, check out H2H, go over, check out Josh on Facebook, and then I tell you what, last question, how important are morals and ethics in this sport? Are all there some fishermen in the group of 32 that are sour grapes or unfriendly? I know today, watching a little bit what I did, very ethical. I mean, Joe miscaught a fish. He foul hooked it, and I can't remember the other gentleman's name. I think he's actually, he lost a fish at the side of the boat and took the penalty. So your last word is yours, Josh, on moral and ethics.
Yeah, and as you can see, I keep trying to tip my head back because I'm losing light in this room. No, honestly, the PWS, the 32 guys there, I shouldn't say guys and gals. There's no doubt. I have never had a bad issue. I have never heard of an issue. Everyone, as I always like to say, plays nice. We have rules we have to enforce on ourselves. There's yet to be any issues, any controversy, and we're all subject to polygraphs. So, it's, if you want to try, but like I would say, and I have so many, my local friends are like, with the 30-day off limits, no getting information. They're like, you really think everyone's reporting everything? And I say, yes, because that's what, so when you tell us information, if we're coming to your home body of water, it's in those 30 days, please do not shoot us a Facebook message giving us information, because what happens with your information, we go copy paste right to the tournament director, and then that goes out to all 32 of us. So if you think you're helping someone, you're actually helping 32 of us. Any information in that outside and that off periods time gets shared with all of us, because it's our whole thing is about an even playing field. So I always try to get that out whenever I do an interview or anything, because like I appreciate, you looking out for me or trying to help. But if I'm in that off limits period, don't send it, because it's, unfortunately, if that's your secret spot, it's going to all 32 of us. Because again, our ethics, our morals, I mean, instantly for me, it's a copy paste right to Andy Cleveland. And we have a site just for us that this all gets posted on. So there's plenty of info out there, that's for sure.
There you go, Mark.
A lot of guys do it. So no questions at all. Great.
Well, you don't have to worry about Danny. Danny won't give me information. He puts me in a gar hole. Hey, great interview tonight. Great information. Congrats on being a dad yet again. That is awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's the best news we got all night. So
it's awesome.
Congrats to you and your wife both. And for those of you who aren't listening or aren't watching the live stream, if you're listening to us on a podcast, go back and watch and in the break and find out, like we said, why an earbud was a subject to be talked about in the delivery room.
In the delivery room.
So, but thanks again for being on tonight. Danny, next week, we got anybody lined up?
Not yet. We did, but we have to switch that person to another week. So we'll have to try to get that.
Stay tuned. All right. Hey, well, listen, if you guys listen to us on the podcast, if you're listening over on iTunes, go over and give us a review. That helps us, and it helps the people who support us as well. Make sure you go over to Josh's social media page, give him a like, follow, share the show, share the interview. Don't forget Head to Head. Check them out as well. Give them a like, follow, and share. And do the same for us as well. And for those of y'all who are watching the live stream right now, do the same thing if you would, please. It helps Josh, helps us, and the people who support us. So y'all take care. We'll be back again next Wednesday night.
Next Wednesday night.
2 more Wednesday nights before we go back to our regular schedule. We're going to get through Labor Day, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Josh, hang on with us here after we get done, and we'll talk real quick and let you go. But that'll do it for us this week, folks. Y'all take care. We'll see y'all again next Wednesday night at 7:30. See you then.
This episode was brought to you by
PSE Archery, Yamaha Outboards, Better the Hunt, Easy Cut, Packer Max, Deer Camp Coffee, Buck Baits, JPO Game Calls, Limwalker Game Calls, Wild Seasoning, Total Peep, Sunrise Archery, Scent Lock, and Scent Blocker.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe until next week on the Up North Journal.